Welcome to the Homegrown Podcast. I'm your host, Liz Hazelmeyer, along with my husband, Joey.
Good morning.
And together we hope to educate, inspire, and equip you in your pursuit of true nourishment. Today we are continuing the series Back to Basics. Today's topic is homeschooling. I feel like we've covered this topic in semi-recent episodes, but I want to reiterate this is a back to basics, so we're going to be quick. We're going to say a couple things that we probably haven't shared before. And this is ideal for you if you are considering joining the homeschool journey. This is new to you, or if you just need a refresh on maybe a simplified perspective. Just like food, fitness, clean home products, everything can get jumbled when you're in the mix. So if you just want a refresher, I think that's what today's show is going to be.
100%. Done a lot of in-depth interviews with people that this is their everything. It's helping people and resource them to be successful in homeschooling. That is what their mission is. Go find those episodes. So many people, Hannah Frankman, Treehouse Schoolhouse.
We'll link them all.
So many other episodes that we have done where homeschooling is the objective of the conversation. So a lot of content there y'all can go look up and find. And today we want to just kind of give you the basic inspiration and equipping that you would need to start your homeschool journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the first thing I wanted to start the conversation off with is, first of all, I think it's really important as the primary schooling parent, whether that's you or your spouse, to kind of tune into what your personality is best suited for. So for example, I am the primary homeschooling parent because I'm home. And I'm kind of a go with the flow. I want general structure. I want to know I have the supporting materials in the house in the form of like curriculum or programs I know I can lean on. But I'm not good with like a regimented schedule. Like we're starting at 9 a.m. every day and we're done at this time every day. And this is what we do because I need more flexibility because I have other things going on in my life, as everyone does. Mm-hmm. But some people really thrive in that regimented schedule. And I think that right there is a great starting point to ask yourself what works for you. Because if you're someone who wants to sit down at the beginning of the year with your stack of curriculum and plan each lesson and what you're hitting these weeks and when you're doing a unit study and when you're doing an outing or a field trip, that's amazing. Embrace that. If that's not you, here's a great example. There's oftentimes very large homeschool conventions that you can go to and get a taste of the curriculum and see what's out there. Cincinnati actually hosts the largest homeschool convention in all of the United States, which is insane. It's the Midwest Homeschool Convention. And if that is something that's going to inspire you, give you ideas, give you energy, stimulate you, absolutely go and have a ball. If that's something that you feel like all the options might feel overwhelming, or they might just be a lot of fluff and stuff that you feel like, I have a good grip on what I want to do this year. Or if money is tight right now and you're going to get overwhelmed by the purchasing options, skip it. You do not have to go to a convention. You absolutely can if you are into it. So just a basic example, tune into who you are.
My male way of defining what you just said is, for me, it's either do you like to cook or do you like to bake? Right? And because a lot of people out there are like, well, geez, Liz, I have no idea if I've never done this. So, what kind of homeschooling personality do I have? I have no clue. Well, one, your spouse probably can help tell you which one of these categories you fall into. And two, cooking and baking. Okay. Do you like to taste, start cooking the food with ingredients you found in the kitchen, and as you're going, you kind of taste and you tinker and you throw a little salt in, and maybe you could use a little bit of paprika, and maybe you found some herbs that you think would go well. And then as you're thinking of the veggie, you actually pivot and you say, you know what, this vegetable I was going to do, but now that I've changed up the spices, I'm going to change to a different vegetable. And it was going to be rice, but actually, because of the sauce that's seeming to form, I'm going to go mashed potatoes, right? Because I want to have something to go. Okay, well, that's cooking. That is our style, you and I, of homeschooling and life.
Yeah.
If you want to know exactly what the end result of the food you're going to start cooking is, meaning like baking, it's like a science project.
Mm-hmm.
You need, if you don't have the right amount of baking soda in there, it ain't going to rise, right? Or it's not going to, you're going to have some issues. Somebody that is heavily invested into baking, whether it's sourdough or which sourdough, there's some tinkering, but there's still a science to it.
Sure.
Or if it's cakes and pastries and souffles and this sort of jazz, you're likely going to want to go and buy the curriculum, get out a calendar, build out the schedule of what the times you're going to do school are. There's going to be this subject, then this subject, and this subject. And they're all really perfect because they work together. The concepts I'm learning in this lesson actually can sort of relate to the concepts I'm learning in this lesson. Yeah, we don't do that. And I respect that. And I think there's some people that thrive on that. And you need to self-identify. Are you a cooker or a baker? So,
are you a recipe follower or do you like to go with the flow?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's really good. Way to tie it back into food, by the way.
You know, I like to eat.
That was good. I love that. I think the second point of this homeschooling back to basics is identifying what matters to your family in terms of what you're passing on to your kids, what knowledge you're passing on to your kids. So often the conversation starts with, what does the government require me to teach? And I'll tell you right now, I think we should be a lot more concerned with what we want to pass on to our kids than what the government wants us to do inside of our homes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying ignore any guidelines or regulations, but most states, they're just covering the basics. They don't want to come in and watch you teach your math lesson. They just want to make sure that you are pushing your children in a direction of growth. They're getting appropriately challenged in the academic arenas of math and reading and writing and science and history and culture. And a lot of the rest of that is just up to you. How that is going to play out in your home is up to you. So maybe before you ask, what does my state want from me? Ask yourself, what do I want to instill in this child or these children? What interests do they have that might align with natural interests that I have? Where can I really build our family culture through this homeschooling thing that we're going to do, where we can find activities that both maybe like share some lineage or some history of our family, or share family interests, or like that can be anything from cooking recipes that your grandfather gave you, or, you know, having your kids, you know, go sit in the woods and hunt with you. Okay. That's an extreme example. Taking your kids every Friday during the winter time to go skiing at your local ski resort, right? Like these are just things that we've done, and they all count under the umbrella of homeschooling. Now, of course, we do have hardcore curriculum for our more formalized academic subjects, and we've talked about that before. I think, Joey, I'll have you just run through really quickly what our main four are. But yeah, just start by asking yourself, what do you want to teach your kids?
That's so good. So many people will feel like there's a framework that they have to follow. And what I would say is that there's a framework that the government or homeschooling influencers or curriculum that kind of has it all spelled out for you. There'll be beneficial tools that you can utilize to help establish what you want yours to look like, kind of as you're on this journey of establishing the homeschooling life that you're going to create for your family and for your kids. But no one's going to care more about your children's success than you. So when you're asking, like, what does my child need educationally? Well, what do you want for them? Well, so I want them to be successful, but I don't know how to do that. Okay, yeah, I understand that. Well, let's talk about academics really quick, because that's where everybody gets hung up. Well, I'm not an expert in all these academics. I didn't go to school to become a teacher. I don't have that. You are teaching things to your kids that are far more important than academics every day. You're helping them understand what it means to be a person on this planet. You're teaching them maturity, responsibility. You're teaching them how to take care of other people. Okay. Newsflash, these are all way more important than can they solve this equation in life. Them knowing how to treat other people, how to socialize, how to be a parent, how to raise children, how to deal with conflict, their spiritual journey. There's so many ways you're coaching your kids. Politics. Like there's so many ways you're coaching your kids to be successful person that to think that you're not qualified for the academics is ridiculous, because at the end of the day, there are so many resources out there to teach your children academics. It's insane. It really is insane. I am not knocking teachers. They have to be trained to deal with 30 kids on a subject all at once, all with different learning capabilities. And they have to have tools to help them do that. When you have your child and you are teaching them how to do something that is appropriate for their age, it's just not that big of a deal. And you can do it. You can do this. Okay. Academics. I believe there's a hierarchy in academics. Okay. I think there's some academics that are more important than others. And you will do the same thing for you. If you don't agree with my academics, good. You're going to find the ones that you feel are most important for the success of your children. And I'm going to tell you what mine are. You can steal them. Good news. Plagiarism is a very good thing in life, believe it or not. Don't believe what they told you in school. It is very good. Plagiarize this. Mathematics. Math. It is incredibly important in life. Knowing how to navigate our very mathematically driven system of life. That's your taxes. That's your finances. That's your budgets. That's your income. And math is very important. Okay. Understanding things deep within math as they get older as well, with debt and financial responsibility and investment. And these are all very important.
Measurements if you own a home, like there's just so much stuff that requires math.
Exactly. Construction.
Yeah.
You need to have math to do construction work. To be a blue-collared worker, math is important. To be a white-collared worker, math is important. It just doesn't matter. Math is important, in my opinion. Reading. Reading is important. Have to be able to read. And you know what? The main reason I will say reading is important is because being able to read is one of the major ways you can help teach yourself how to do other things. If you want to own your education in life, to be able to take on, I want to be a better father. I want to be a better husband. I want to be a better business owner. I want to be a better soccer player. I want to be a better, whatever it is. Reading can be very powerful and be very, very helpful. So reading, super important. Definitely need to know how to read. Highly important. Math, reading. I think writing, incredibly important. Be able to communicate, whether it be text messages or plugging prompts into ChatGPT. You got to be able to write. You have to be able to think creatively with words on paper, digitally, whatever. I don't mean handwriting. I mean writing. Being able to articulate thoughts in words on paper or with a keyboard.
Yeah.
That's important. Emails, texts. You don't want to be that person that's texting somebody and everyone's like, I don't really know what they're saying here. Are they mad at me? You want to be able to communicate well. Math, reading, writing. This is my final one here. Public speaking. This is the one where, maybe you've got a different one you plug in. But in my opinion, public speaking, be able to socialize, be able to motivate people, to inspire people, to make a point and it be articulated in a way that people can understand you. So important.
Yeah.
Unbelievably important. I'm not saying everyone has to be a pastor or, they're giving TED Talks. But I think that all my kids should be able to, as they're growing up, even before they're an adult, I want them to be able to look an adult in the eye, understand what they say, and respond intelligently. And I am very aware of this. I watch out for this, and I invest time and effort and energy to ensure that our kids are growing in this. So math, reading, writing, public speaking. Now, a lot of other topics or academics, I believe, at the end of the day, are nice to haves. If your child is very interested in science, let him at it. If your child's extremely interested in history, let him at it. Remember, history is just reading practice at the end of the day. That's all it is. Now, hey, we do history by watching these shows. Cool. If they're super interested in history, you want to watch the show? Cool. That's great. But there is absolutely, in my opinion, a hierarchy. So
I like that you said hierarchy, because those are the 4 areas that we want to see mastered sort of before we dive into those.
They're academic pillars.
Yeah.
Everything else stands on them.
Everything else stands on them. So we did kind of delay any formal science for Sophia until she, really, 1, found a class at co-op that was interesting to her, or 2, would find a unit study or something that was also interesting, but she had to have those other boxes checked first. And so the other cool thing about homeschooling is that once you get those 4 pillars really nailed down, you can double up on your subjects. So right now, for example, Sophia is taking 2 science classes at the same time. One is like a forensics geared science class, which is super cool. The other is just your basic life science. And you can absolutely do that. This isn't like the public school system where you have to follow this track and you only get one little dish of this subject at a time. You can double up. You can spend an entire year working through 3 different history like units or time periods. Okay, this isn't like, oh, this year for 8th grade, we do European history or world history. And then this time we do American history. I took American history in college. It was truthfully one of my favorite classes. And I'll tell you what, I learned way more in those 3 semesters of American history 1, 2, and 3 than I did in any of my 12 years of studying history every single year in the public school setting. And I, for the first time, was like, oh, I understand key elements about the foundation of our country. Like, this is so cool. So you can, once those 4 pillars are really accounted for, you can absolutely accelerate learning in the other areas by doubling up on them. So just to say, like, it doesn't have to look like you have an equal portion of each subject each year, in our opinion. I think you can use that hierarchy. So that's super good. What else about homeschooling?
I wanted to just put a cherry on top of that because I'm really passionate about this, as if you can't tell, and I want people to feel the freedom of knowing what's important. That's the objective here. What do I need to care about? What should I get worked up about? My kid is struggling with the science homework I gave them. Do not get worked up about that. Let them have a break. Again, I'm the like toss and seasoning, saute pan. I'm the cook, right? I'm not a baker. So I don't need them to figure out the science stuff right away. I want them to invest in those kinds of electives, is what I'm calling them, as they see fit.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. And I want to hold our kids to a standard. So if they sign up for something, we're going to figure this out. We're going to work hard at this. But I'm not forcing any of this stuff down their throat by any means.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
I'm going to get worked up about this. Let's talk through that, because you're going to run into challenges. You're going to run into roadblocks with homeschooling. Your kid's going to feel unmotivated. School, my kid's apprehensive or doesn't want to do their homework or their schoolwork. If that didn't happen, I would be shocked. Okay, kids will always resist some of that. And that's okay. It's good for kids to learn responsibility. And this is a way to do that, giving them work that they have to do to feel some of that stress that is appropriate for their age. It will help them grow, help them mature, and learn. But let's talk through a scenario. Scenario A, which we've gone through. It's like, oh my gosh, I sit down, and every time I sit down with so-and-so, we just battle because they cannot figure out this math. They just keep telling me they don't know. And I keep going through the problems and the equations. And if we're honest, I don't really know what I'm doing. And I'm really stressed because based on my assessment, we are behind in math. Maybe we're significantly behind. Find yourself in this position. Again, now this is a pillar. So we worry about this one, okay? We want our child to be successful in math. Now, if they are having trouble with trigonometry, we're less worried. If they're dealing with addition, with algebra, I think algebra is important. If they're dealing with fractions, with decimals, with things that matter, okay, or all right, like mathematic basics. I would not call trigonometry mathematic basics. I guess I'm just kind of like spitballing here, but K through 12, typical standard math, very important. I go back and forth on some of it, but most of it, all the way through Algebra 2. Geometry, Algebra 2, Algebra 1, all that, very important. Tutor. This is where you enlist the tutor. Very powerful addition, finding somebody in your community, someone I bet you can find an online tutor. You can find people that do video call tutoring with your child. You could bring somebody to your home, which I think is far better, personally. Someone that sits down, that builds a relationship with your child, that builds trust, and that also can give you real life understanding of how your child's developing. in this area, super important.
Mm.
We do this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your dad, our child's grandfather, is passionate about this, very capable, and helps tutor our child in math, or at least did.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen major improvement as a result. 2 reasons why tutoring is powerful. Number one, they have a new approach to teaching that you did not use. Therefore, your child may be more receptive to that. They can't learn as well the way that you're trying to teach them. Their brain doesn't work like your brain. They don't understand math like you do. My kids, I have one kid that understands math like I do. I will say how I do a problem, and other people look at me like, what? Now, again, I know academically I am gifted mathematically, and I struggle with writing. That's where my academic giftings kind of were.
Yeah.
You were a savage writer, and maybe less so on the mathematics side.
I'm the opposite of you.
We're a great combination. But that doesn't mean I'm a great teacher of math, because math comes easy to me. Actually, you might be a better teacher for people that are less gifted in math than I am. I don't know how else to say that to not sound rude.
Yeah, because I would have to, I'm good at communicating it maybe because I don't understand it. So I have to really understand it because math is hard for me.
And for me, it's like,
You're like,
I'll look at the equation and think, how do you not see the relationship here, how these numbers intermix? And I don't understand how you don't see this. I've explained it to you. I've written it out. You don't see this? How do you not see this?
Funny.
Same thing with reading. Hey, that's a pillar. Okay. We saw in Ruthie some delay in reading, and we deployed everything we could to ensure that we stopped everything. We said, reading is it. Right now, we're thinking about reading only. She crushes math. We're not really worried about writing right now because she does her handwriting stuff and she thinks it's fun. It's like coloring, right? We're going to focus all of our effort and energy on reading because she has to learn this.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's an excellent reader.
Yeah.
Because we just buckled down and said, nothing else matters right now. We will spend a month and a half on just reading, 2 months, 3 months, whatever it takes. We want you to be an outstanding reader because, wow, that can take you to new places. You have to be able to read. Okay. What other challenges can people run into with homeschooling?
So I love the tutor example. And I would even say, even if you're not experiencing a challenge, if you just have a subject where you feel like it's beyond your own teaching capability, enlist that outside help.
Yeah, that's good.
The other challenges I feel are a lot of just, honestly, societal pressure. I think we can't underestimate are you sure you're homeschooling?
My kid's at this school and he's learning Latin, and they say something in Latin and they say something and you're like, oh man, my kid's not learning Latin. And then you think about it like, does that matter? Do I need my kid to know Latin right now? It's like, no, I want my kid to be really good at, anyways, maybe Latin's really important to you. And so add that as one of your pillars, maybe.
Yeah, no hate on the classical folks out there.
No hate. I'm just saying that societal pressure will happen, like you're saying.
Yeah, and I think it's so interesting too, we're in this new realm, and I just want to be very clear when I communicate this, because I think this is new. This didn't exist when your parents were homeschooling. While homeschooling is perhaps a little more mainstream, meaning people aren't like, oh, you wear a denim jumpsuit and you're this weird homeschooling family that probably doesn't own a TV. That persona has died off with the 90s era. Okay. But now what has happened is that we've seen such a transformation in the various approaches to schooling kids that we live in a world where if you say you homeschool, you might say you're a homeschooling parent, but you actually send your kid to a hybrid school, meaning they meet maybe 2 days a week and then they have homework the other 3 days at home. And that's a very different experience than if you are fully teaching at home. Even if you are utilizing an enrichment program or 1 day a week co-op, that's going to look different. And so this is both good and bad. This is good because it means you have options. You can resource yourself. You can figure out what works good for you, works well for you. This is also bad because it puts you in this weird pool of people who, you'll be like, hey, we're a homeschooling family. Maybe you're like me and Joey and you keep it really simple and you focus a lot on life and character building. And then you run up against the maybe classical homeschooler who is in the program and they're doing the Latin and their math is 3 grades ahead of their child's age. And I felt this so strongly in the beginning when I was more insecure. and you start to panic and you're like, I am not doing this well. I don't think I'm supposed to, like, this isn't right for me. I'm going to have to send my kid to school.
Totally.
And then you run into this. For us, it was okay, do we have the $5,000 to send our kid to this classical conversations like program or not? And it becomes it escalates very quickly into a real family lifestyle and financial burden if that's not something that is truly going to serve you. Okay. It's not going to be a burden if it's serving you. That's a tool and a resource. That's a positive thing.
Totally.
But if you make that decision out of insecurity from your own experience or just from talking to other people, then that's going to be something that isn't the right fit for you.
Yeah.
So this goes back to the knowing your personality thing. It's just this world of the internet and social media, and also just we have tons of family members that utilize all different kinds of schooling, Montessori schooling, and all of it is wonderful. But each one of us has had to figure out what works for our kids. So keeping sort of tunnel vision is really healthy when you're identifying what works for yourself, because it's so easy to slip into that trap.
Your mission is different than everybody else's. Your kid is different than everybody else's. And because they'll be on different academic tracks, it will look different. Mm-hmm. And different is okay. It's good. Mm-hmm. We like that. Yeah. That's why we're homeschooling, is to be different.
Yeah. I love that. Anything else on the basics that we need to cover?
Final thing I would say, and this is just to kind of wrap this up, is that don't let the idea of academics alone get in the way of your child's ultimate kind of growth and maturity as a person, or their kind of real education is what I'm going to call it. Don't let it get in the way, because if there's an opportunity for your child to, depending on how old they are, do something that will push them, that is such a good opportunity. These pillars of academics help them succeed in this life and this culture of today. And there's so many things with the evolving culture that we're dealing with that aren't addressed by academics that I believe that we as parents are tasked with teaching our kids. And that school time is just as valuable for those learnings as it is for the academic learnings. Here's an example. You made a mention of like going skiing, but when I was growing up, I was homeschooled, and my dad would take me to, he was starting a business. He would take me to like country clubs to meet with business owners and other networking events so that I could practice engaging with other adults. I hated it. We opened a corn stand and sold fruits and vegetables. I had to learn how to do the mathematics to take people's money, give them change. I also had like all of that selling of talking through the different produce that we were selling and why it was a good option and where it came from. And there were so many useful skills that I developed over the years by doing things like running a produce market, by going with my dad to work growing up, to learning how to work on teams, because I would work on different things at the corn stand or with my dad's office or whatever. There's life, fun, adventure stuff I got to do as well that helped me kind of understand what I'm capable of and how I can learn new skills and new like skiing, snowboarding. It's so much, there's so much more to life. Okay. Utilizing this time to invest in your kids around topics that are happening politically, talking about politics. You can create a kind of politics class, talk about the presidents, talk about what election means, how people make decisions on who they want to vote for. You can, like, there's time that you can spend to help get your kids set up to be really successful in life today, not just academically sound to go get a job at some corporation. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really important. So that's, I think, all we have for today.
Yeah. And the final thing I will say is that we have a free ebook called Contemplating Homeschool that summarizes some of the points that we made here today. And one of them being, you're already your child's teacher. So I love that you said that. Like, you're already teaching them so much, throwing in a little sprinkle of math and reading.
Cooking in the kitchen.
Yeah, it's cool.
Working on the cars. I don't work on cars much anymore, but like, I remember changing the oil with my dad, right?
Yeah.
These sorts of things that you get to do, and learning how to process meat because we go hunting, and there's so many things that are important to learn that you're going to use the rest of your life that the school like the typical school system does not teach you.
Yeah, totally. I will link the ebook down below. Like I said, it's free, so go check that out. It's just a quick read. Just kind of centers you. If you're contemplating homeschooling, it's exactly what the title is.
Friends, we have fun curriculum that we designed to help our kids learn things like what real food is, what macronutrients are, where our food comes from. We have these resources on homegrowneducation.org if you want to get in the game with real food as in my opinion, an elected item in your homeschool journey, but a very important one. Homegrowneducation.org, you can find all those curriculums, find free resource guides, including the contemplating homeschool ebook, I believe. We also have an online goods retail store called shoptheh.com, where we have a major holiday market going on currently. So get on there and get yourself some of those awesome goods before the holiday season is here. Shipping those things out ASAP to make sure that they get to you in time. And I know a number of things are already starting to sell out. So definitely get there quickly so you don't miss out. Shoptheh.com, everything from lard dish soap to sourdough tools to coffee and tea. Check it out.
Yeah, we have a lot of things on sale right now because while you're listening to this, it is the week of Thanksgiving. That means Black Friday is at the end of the week. We're not doing a Black Friday specific sale. Instead, we just opened it up to the whole month of November.
Just get on there and get after it. If you're on YouTube watching us right now, then you just got to meet Bowman for the first time.
Oh, we haven't even shared his name. I love that, Bowman.
Bowman is our son that was born 5 days ago.
You guys, we had a boy.
We had a boy. We are 3 girls and a boy now. Bowman's with us in the studio.
He is.
Vibing.
So all of you listening on audio, just immediately jump to the YouTube link down below so that you can see it because it's so cute.
Check us out on YouTube if you haven't already. All these shows are on there. You can go subscribe to that channel. We are also on Instagram. You'll probably be seeing plenty of Bowman on our Instagram as well, which is me at Joey Hazelmeyer Elizabeth, or Liz at Liz Hazelmeyer and Homegrown_education. All 3 of those different accounts. Let's go follow those. If not for us, then do it for Bowman. I'm just kidding. Until next time, friends, that's a wrap.